I'm Sarah Purcell from Bone Boot Camp and Short and Sweet with Sarah. I'd like to share with you some back strengthening and mobility exercises, just 5 of them that will give you a real sense of how much you can do with just a little investment of time and a really safe positioning that's not going to stress you out, which is why I have this bolster here. Not everybody has a bolster, but you probably have the ability to find a stack of blankets, stack of big towels, anything that's going to stack up and be firm and maybe give you 5 inches or 6 inches off the ground. That's all we're looking for. Just want it to be really firm. So bed pillows oftentimes don't work. They're just too squishy. So we've got that. I do have a rolled up hand towel that I'm going to use, and I've got a block. Doesn't have to be a block. You may not even need it. It's for supporting your head should your neck not really have the strength to hold up your head when you're a little bit off of the bolster lying on your belly. All of this is on your belly. The great news is with the bolster, we make it much safer and more comfortable. So you're more likely to do it. We are going to come down to the ground. You get to decide how much you want your head to be off the ground. So are you going to be way out here? That takes a lot of upper back strength and neck strength. This would be a nice medium spot, and if you just don't feel strong at all to start, you'll be back here. It's all cool, doesn't matter. You get to pick your position. That's the important thing here. So the next thing is, do you need a block for your head or not? You can test it out. Just ask yourself right here, do you feel comfortable? Can you hold your head? Are these deep neck flexors doing a great job to hold you without getting tension in your shoulders and in your neck? If not, then go ahead and use the block for right now, and maybe test out from time to time, just floating off the block. I'm showing you that I'm moving, not asking you to do that. So you get to pick which way you want to have that start. Are you ready then? Okay, let's find the position for your arms. We're going to have cactus arms. As you may know, cactus arms typically are when your elbow is straight out from your shoulder. If that's uncomfortable and you feel neck and shoulder pinching, you would want to lower your elbow further down. And that's an awesome place. We want to start where our body feels comfortable. We're not going to get much of anywhere if our body's uncomfortable. So here we are. And from here, I'm going to start teaching you what I always do, and that is breathing with the idea that you're filling the sides and backs of your lungs. You're really not, but let's think about moving the body in the side and the back. So I inhale into the sides and back, and then I exhale, pushing my pubic bone into the bolster and feeling like I'm pulling my belly button just a little bit away from the bolster. Let's try that again. Inhaling into your sides and back, and exhaling, pushing your pubic bone into the bolster, pulling your belly button just vaguely away from the bolster. And you probably felt your glutes fire up a little bit, and that's a good thing. Okay, so next thing that we're going to do, inhale into the sides and backs, exhale, push your belly button in. Oh, sorry about that. Push your pubic bone into the ground and lift those hands up. And let's put them back down. So notice that's your shoulder blades pulling a little bit together as you lift. So just think about how your spine runs right down the middle of your body. And as you lift your arms, your shoulder blades retract just a little bit. Can you feel that on the back of your body? Sometimes when you breathe, and you breathe knowing that you want to move the back of your body, you can kind of feel that your shoulder blades moved. So pushing your pubic bone into the mat, pulling your belly button away from the mat, and lifting those arms and coming back down. For the next one, we are going to lift and hold and feel like you're moving your elbows out towards the sides of the room. So the elbows are moving away further. And come back down. Now we'll try it without anything under our head. So you might start with supporting your head. Inhale, exhale, pushing your pubic bone into the mat, letting your arms come out, elbows reaching to the side, and you're just feeling the strength of your back. And you let that go. You can put your hand down here to hold you. So now we're going to test something else out. Let's test out what's going on with our legs. So inhaling and exhaling, pushing your pubic bone into the mat, and then experimenting, can you lift your toes off the ground without your low back pulling? And put that down. Let's try it again. You're not using your low back, you're pushing your pubic bone into the mat, and then using the backs of your legs to lift your legs just a little bit off the floor. And I don't care if your feet are flexed or pointed. If you felt low back tugging, then you're going to not add the legs off the floor when we do the rest of this series. So let's get going with the rest of the series, and if your head is uncomfortable, you can always add the block back under your head. Okay, so we are going to bring our hands back here, so we're in kind of a cobra, a preparation for cobra position. All that we're going to do, pushing our pubic bone into the mat with an exhale. We're going to inhale while we hold that and just stretch our arms out like Superman and come back down. Just assess how that felt. Maybe there's just a lot of tightness, and when you went up overhead, your whole shoulder went with you and your shoulders became earrings. Then let's go out a little bit wider. I want you to find the place where you're comfortable. So we inhale, exhale, pushing into the mat, holding that feeling and that core support, and reach your arms and come back in. You can continue to breathe and keep that contraction, keep your pubic bone pushed into the mat, get all that core support, and you can continue to reach and come back down. You can point your thumbs up to the ceiling and reach and come back down. You could try your palms up and reach and come back down. Palms up works best when you go out a little bit wide. Reach and come back down. We don't want it to get too heavily into our neck, so take a rest at the appropriate time. Wiggle out your bottom a little bit. Let everything relax. So when you did your test about your feet, you know whether you're going to add on. So if you're ready, we're going to do that reach, but we're going to add on lifting our feet. So inhale to prepare. Exhale, push your pubic bone into the mat. Hold that contraction and reach and come back down. Notice I brought my hands down and my toes down. Reach and come back down. You can play with what your hands are doing. Notice your low back. We don't want to feel pain there. If you do, or even a lot of tugging, it's time to take a rest. So we build up to all of this movement. You may have already decided that that's your cycle for today, and you'll add on to the exercise with our next exercise in the next routine, the next time you come through this. So we are going to take our arms into a swimming position. So it's sort of a static swim. We're not actually going to pull through the water. We're just going to have our thumbs up. Same thing, pushing the pubic bone into the ground and reaching and moving. So you are not still, you're moving, you're wiggling a little bit on the bolster, and that's okay. Let it go. We think about when we walk, our shoulders move. We're not just pointing straight forward. Our sternum is actually moving a little bit. There's a teeny bit of rotation in walking, and we want that teeny bit of rotation here. We want our upper back to have some freedom and some strength. Inhaling and exhaling. You can exhale and blow out long, 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 long and slow, and come back down. So whether you add the legs or not is totally up to you. Whether you point or flex your feet is totally up to you. You push your pubic bone into the mat, and you continue to breathe, and you move, and maybe your arms are out wide. And you come back down. So notice that you're getting a lot of movement in your shoulder blades in addition to strengthening, and that's really the key of what we're doing here. I'm going to make sure that I stay super, super safe and relaxed. I'm going to take my little roll here, and I'm going to put it right at my hip flexors. So right at that pants crease, the place where your pants crease up when you sit down. So my roll is right there. It's really to support me and protect me so that I don't really crunch my low back when I do a modified cobra. So learning my version of cobra is sometimes frustrating for people. I'm going to put my head here to show you how I'd love it for you to start, because the block actually tells us a little something about what we're truly doing. So we're going to inhale and exhale, and I'm pushing my pubic bone down towards the mat, wishing I could touch it, but the roll is kind of preventing that. And I can keep that contraction while I inhale. So let's start all over. Let's inhale to prepare. Exhale, pushing that pubic bone towards the mat as best we can. And on an inhale, I just want to float my head a little bit off the block and come back down. Now I want to try floating my fingers, pushing my pubic bone into the mat, and seeing about floating my head. Oh, notice that difference. I can feel my back lighting up all the way down. Now I don't want to feel it as low back crunching, but it felt really just like a bunch of strength in parallel lines down my back. Let's try that again. Float your hands, and then float your head. Feel your belly supporting you in doing that. Can you do that without feeling like you need to lift up like the old-fashioned cobra? So this is fabulous. You don't even need to go beyond this. But let's say you wanted to. We'll leave our fingers gently on the ground. We're not really pushing hard into the ground at all. And I'm just going to think about taking my little necklace or the scoop on my t-shirt, and I'm going to just move it a little bit towards the top of the block. So not a traditional point of view at all about a cobra. Inhaling to prepare, exhaling, pushing my pubic bone towards the mat. Inhaling again, and just taking that scoop on my shirt and just moving it to right there. I've not changed my head at all. Did you notice that? Changing my head would just be neck flexion. Actually, that's neck extension. Sorry about that. Neck extension that I don't need. It might make me feel like I'm doing more upper back extension, but I'm not. And the whole idea behind Cobra is not that you extend your low back or your neck. It's that that mid back gets some movement, that really difficult to move mid back. So it's tiny. Don't expect a lot. But what we're going to do is feel like you're drawing your hands back towards your feet and take the scoop of your t-shirt and move it so maybe it's going to point a beam right above the block and come back down. And one more time, pushing your pubic bone into the mat, dragging your hands back, pushing just a teeny bit into the ground, and lifting the scoop on my t-shirt a little bit above that bolster. So hopefully that was really nice and lovely for you. If you'll notice, and even if you hit replay, you'll see that I had my toes flexed and onto the ground. You could go with the tops of your feet down on the ground as in a traditional cobra. Totally up to you. That was just my preference for today. So we've got one more to go, and we're going to finish with a little more mobility. So feel free to put your head on a block and rest your head, because the goal here really isn't to stress you out. I'm going to move back a little just because my wall is sort of in the way. So I'm not getting my shoulder all scrunched up. I'm just seeing where I can reach that arm, and my thumb is up towards the ceiling. And I'm just going to trace, touching the ground, down, and back up again. A lot of people do snow angels on their back. We're doing it in this direction. I'm just feeling my arm move in that socket. And now I'm going to really be sure that I push my pubic bone into the mat, that I'm really supported in my core. I float my pinky finger off the ground and I move my arm again. And then I rotate up a little bit, trying to get my palm to face up. It's really not easy. I feel a lot of tension as I get back here. And my arm really wants to roll forward again. And that's natural. That's just part of the structure. But we also want to find the strength and mobility here. Good. And let that rest for a second. And you are going to switch to the other side. I'm going to do my best. I've got a wall here. But we'll start out. I'm reaching forward. My thumb is up. And you're going to come out and back. It's just not quite possible for me because I'm so close to the wall. But you're going to come out and back. And then you're going to start to tilt your palm up. Just feeling that this side might feel different. Checking out what you're doing in your back. Did you push your pubic bone into the mat? Did you pull your belly button away from the mat? Can you feel your arm gliding? Can you feel your shoulder blade moving? And one more. And come on back. So hopefully you enjoyed that movement and you feel a little bit stronger when you check in with your back and maybe even a little more mobile.